Yeah, so first day they go for Adivas Ceremony. Before they begin the parikrama, they go to the birthplace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also known as Yoga Peeth. And there they take a sankalpa or some kind of a vow that they will go through the austerity of completing this parikrama and ask, seek the blessings. So after that, that is one day, and they don't do any parikrama on that day, just go to this place and come back to ISKCON Mayapur, around maybe a few to 3 kilometers. Then the next day morning, they leave from ISKCON Mayapur campus, walk along that road which is known as Bhakti Siddhanta Road, and go up to the boat ghat. As you know, Ganges is flowing across these 9 islands. So one of the ghats is known as, they walk up to that and then take the boat and go through another tributary and reach the land, and then from the land they walk up to the Panchanandala. That's where Lord Shiva with 5 heads is meditating on Lord Gauranga. So he's also known as Kshetrapal Shiva, or the protector of the Dham. He prevents people who are not qualified to enter, prevents them from entering. And then after that we walked up to Nrsimhapalli, where Lord Nrsimha came and washed his hands in the Mandakini river, and he settled down there, also known as Nrsimhapalli. And it's also known as Devapalli because the demigods also took their residence there. So the deity there was said to be from Satyuga. And from there we walk up to a place known as Harihara Kshetra. It's not different from Varanasi. A Lord is present as Shiva and Vishnu, and it's on the bank of the Alakananda river. And when a person is leaving his body, Lord Shiva is said to come and chant the names of Lord Gauranga in the ears. So that was first day. They take rest in the campsite, which is set up around that Harihara Kshetra. The next day morning, after Mangalarati, they walk up to Amghat. Amghat is the place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed the pastime where the devotees were performing Sankirtana, and when they felt hungry, he put a seed in the ground and a mango tree came up, immediately produced fruit, although it was not the season. And that too, the fruit was so big and had a very thin skin and very tasty that one who tasted one mango was sufficiently pleased. The hunger was quenched. And after that, we go on to so Swananda Sukada Kunja. That was the residence of Bhaktivinoda Thakura, where he had the vision of the Yoga Peeth before the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discovered, and he saw that there will be a new monumental temple which will manifest in future. That's where he wrote many of his books, hundreds of books, and that's where Bhaktivinoda Thakura, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur used to have their discussions daily. And that's also the place where his Samadhi is placed, along with his servant and Gaur Gada, the deities. So then walking further, we come up to the Surabhi Kunj, where Surabhi cow, it manifested to Markandeya Rishi, who was being tossed around in the ocean during the Pralaya. And then he took shelter of Surabhi cow, who fed him the milk. Not only that, there is a banyan tree, a huge banyan tree there, on the leaf of which Lord Krishna was lying down as a child. And when he breathed in, all this Markandeya Rishi entered his body and then again came back. So this place is not affected even during the Pralaya. That shows that this pastime shows that even during the devastation, the Dham is eternal and is not disturbed. So, and later we go up to the Bhaktivedanta Arogya Ashram, which is close to the Jalangi river. That's where the ISKCON has a place there and the campsite for that day. So that we completed on the second day. The third day, we are going to start now.
In the morning on day 3, we set out from towards Hansavahan, Swarup Ganj. In the morning on day 3, we set out from Swarup Ganj towards Hansavahan, a famous deity of Lord Shiva, riding on the swan carrier of Lord Brahma, so he could come to Sutta Goswami's recitation of the Gaura Bhagavat more quickly.
So this third day, they go towards Hamsavahan. Hamsa means the swan. Actually, Brahma has a swan carrier and Lord Shiva has a bull carrier. So Sutta Goswami, when he was reciting the Gaura Bhagavad, just as we have Srimad-Bhagavatam glorifying Lord Krishna, there is also Gaura Bhagavata, which is glorifying Lord Gauranga in his many incarnations in previous yugas also. When this recitation was going on, Lord Shiva was very eager to take part, but he was getting slow because his vehicle, the bull, cannot go very fast. So he borrowed the swan carrier from Brahma. And when he was coming on the swan, from a distance, the sages saw and they thought Brahma is coming. But as it came closer, they understood that Lord Shiva has come on this swan carrier. So that's why he's known as Hamsavahan Shiva. So this deity was there, that is still kept there. So what happens, this deity is very hot. Lord Shiva, he becomes heated up. The deity becomes so hot that they have to keep him in the water. So most of the year, the deity is kept in the nearby Ganges water. They submerge it in the water. And it so happened some local villages, they stole this deity. But later they somehow found it and they, so I think it is not found also. But that carrier, Hamsavahan, that is worshipped in this place. So they have to, the villagers, they have the belief that they have to offer some flower, one particular flower, and when they are offering this flower, they have they ask for some boons, and if the flower blossoms, then it's an indication that their boon will be fulfilled. So like that, once they were, all the villagers were, only one particular day it happens, and when they were trying like this, the ISKCON devotees also went to do Harinam, but the local villagers protested that you have to follow the queue system. And so when the ISKCON devotees obliged, the other villagers, they were going and offering their flowers, but none of the flowers were blossoming or popping up. So then they felt something inauspicious, and then they said, okay, you devotees do the kirtan first and you go and offer your, make your offerings. So once that was done, one by one, all the flowers were popping up. So this is that place we are going to visit. Maharaj will talk about that.
We gather outside this temple in the center of the village.
Here there's a hut kind of thing.
This is the deity of the Hansavahan. So here in Navadvip is the original Naimisharanya. We'll go there in a little while. And here at this Naimisharanya, Sutta Goswami spoke not the Srimad-Bhagavatam exactly as such, but the Gaura Bhagavat, very special form of the Bhagavatam, of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, focusing on the glories of Lord Caitanya. So Sutta Goswami was preparing for that great event, and the news was spreading here and there around the universe. And Lord Shiva in Kailash, Lord Shiva heard about it, and he thought, I have to be there. I have to go. This is just the greatest event practically in the universe, so I must be there. But Kailash is some distance away, and the event was about to begin. The recitation was about to begin. So how to get here as quickly as possible? Now, Lord Shiva, as with all the different Devis, Lord Shiva has his characteristic carrier. This is Nandi the bull. But bulls, of course, are not known for moving very quickly. And Lord Shiva was in real anxiety. I've got to get there now. So what to do? He couldn't go on Nandi because he'd probably arrive at the end of the event. So Lord Shiva approached Lord Brahma and asked him, can I borrow your swan carrier? As Lord Shiva normally rides on Nandi the bull, so Lord Brahma, and bulls of course they're slow, Lord Brahma, his carrier is the swan. As the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Krishna rides on Garuda the bird, so Lord Brahma, he rides on a swan. So Lord Shiva approached Lord Brahma and begged him, you know, I missed that recitation of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So please, let me borrow your swan carrier. And Lord Brahma agreed, and Lord Shiva came flying in here really fast, and he made it to the recitation of the Bhagavad. And therefore this place is called Hansa Vahan. Hansa means swan, and Vahan means carrier, or like vehicle. This is where Lord Shiva came in, riding on that swan carrier. And here in this little temple, this is a temple dedicated to this pastime. And there is a deity of Lord Shiva riding on that swan. Now, normally, that deity, because Lord Shiva, as they say, he was really fired up. Now, when we say fired up, in this case, we mean literally. He was just literally blazing with enthusiasm. Here we see the deity of the Hansa Vahan.
So this is from the front side. The swan, you can imagine, like the beak you are seeing, the red shape, red colored is the beak side. So as Maharaj is explaining, Naimisharanya and all these holy places are present in Navadvip also. Just like here Pushkar Tirtha, Radha Kunda, and so just as in Naimisharanya the Bhagavatam was spoken to by Suta Goswami, similarly in Navadvip there is also one Naimisharanya, and there pastimes of Lord Gauranga was spoken by Suta Goswami, and this is the deity of the Hamsavahan, the swan carrier. And
now we're looking straight into the face of the swan. Here we see him from the side. Lord Shiva is lying on his back, completely flat.
so just like if you are on the back of an animal and it's going at very high speed, just like on aircraft also they ask you to lounge forward if this aircraft is going to crash. Similarly, when Lord Shiva was on this swan carrier, he lounged forward so that he cannot face the wind resistance. Okay, so that's why it is almost like it's a very old deity. So you cannot see it so clearly, but it is merged with the
Lord Shiva is extremely hot due to his rushing to come to the Bhagavad recital. So the pujaris keep water dripping on him to avoid him overheating. We then walk around a short distance behind the village to Naimisharanya, where the Bhagavat was recited. So Shiva
topic continues. He arrived using Ansvahan, carrier of Brahma. He landed. We were there at Hans Bhavan just now. And this is the original Naimisharanya, part of Navadvip now. Sutta Goswami reciting Gaur Bhagavat. You have to visualize, spread your imagination. Sutta Goswami has a microphone. He did not use microphone, although there's a large crowd of Vaishnavas there to listen to Gaur Bhagavat. And the leading person sitting in that assembly was Shiva, listening to Gaur Bhagavat. Because those good old days, dogs were not barking. Everything was quiet, peaceful, including the minds of all those were peaceful.
So here Maharaj makes a very important point. Those days they didn't have loudspeakers. So when they spoke, they had so much potency, the other person could hear, even it's a very big audience. And not only that, their minds were so calm that they could hear the other person speaking, even if they're far off. Now in Kali Yuga, because our minds are so disturbed, what we speak is not heard by other person, and the other person is also not able to hear us. Even some years ago, you see in villages, one person will call from a long distance and the other person will hear it. How they hear it, even I don't know. But that is a fact. Because that is the power of the sound. It can be heard even without a microphone or such devices.
And the speakers also had a very powerful voices. They were very powerful physically also. So the voices would get a boost that we don't have now with teeny tiny creatures. Everything has changed. Even physical powers have diminished, but those days were different. So we had to think of those days. And Sutta Goswami reciting Bhagavad, Gaur Bhagavat here. Would like to remind you all that the Naimisharanya was chosen for recitation of Bhagavad or Gaur Bhagavat because Naimisharanya is considered hub of the universe. Because they had gone all over looking for where the yajna or where the Bhagavad could be recited, and Naimisharanya was chosen, and that was taken as a hub of the universe. And the idea is that whatever happens at the hub, at that center, then its influence would reach everywhere.
So here Maharaj makes another point that Naimisharanya was specifically chosen because whatever is auspicious activities performed there, sacrifices performed there, that will benefit everyone in the universe, whether the other person is participating or not.
Counteracting the reactions. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. So sinful people have committed some actions and some reactions are awaiting them, which will mostly cause suffering. Because action, as you sow, so shall you reap. So ignorant people commit sinful activities and then suffering is awaiting. So the sages like Sutta Goswami, Shukadeva Goswami, they recite Bhagavatam, and especially as it was being recited at Naimisharanya, the effect of that Bhagavatam, influence of that Bhagavad recitation was meant to counteract all the reactions, awaiting reactions. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishami. So listening to Bhagavatam is like surrendering unto that Mamekam Lord, and then mokshishami masuja. So as we have assembled here today, here at Naimisharanya, so whatever we do here, think here, talk here, remember, Shravan, Kirtan, all that, its effect will reach all over the universe. So be careful. Maharaj here, His Holiness Prabodhanand. Prabodhanand Saraswati is also there. Swami Maharaj, all the way from Vrindavan Dham. He's a resident sannyasi of Vrindavan. Only occasionally he travels. And this is one time. Of course, considering this Dham to be also as good as Vrindavan, he has come here and is very learned Maharaj. So, question to say a few words.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschat Klesatarini Ajanulambita Bhujau Kanaka Vadato Sankirtanai Kapitarau Kamalayatakshu Vishwambharo Dijavaro Jugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priya Karo Karuna Bataro. So this is Mangalacharan given in Caitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So just like Sukadeva Goswami has recited Bhagavatam at Sukratal in UP, near Muzaffarnagar, and Sut Goswami recited Bhagavatam in that is about Christmas pastimes, or Srimad-Bhagavatam at Naimisharanya near Lucknow. So we have heard before that this is the original Naimisharanya in Dham. Again here is Caitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, or Caitanya Bhagavat or Gaura Bhagavat was recited by Sutta Goswami here also. Vrindavan Das Thakur says in Caitanya Bhagavat, Chara Veda Tathi Navanita Bhagavata Manthilena Sukha Khailena Parikhita. The four Vedas is the essence of all Vedic knowledge, and just like we can consider this as God, and after just chanting God, the essence of the curd is called, come out is makhan, means butter. So the butter is Srimad-Bhagavatam. So the essence of all the Vedic literatures is Srimad-Bhagavatam.
So Maharaj was saying that just as the essence of the curd is the butter, similarly the essence of the Vedas is the Srimad-Bhagavatam.
So this is here that the past chanted by Sukadeva Goswami, and Parikshit was the personality who enjoyed that butter. And here we are also all just together here to enjoy that. There is so many pastimes in Srimad-Bhagavatam, but specifically Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, the Gaura Lila is most suitable pastimes. So we are all fortunate here to be here about Gauranga Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Without just like there is three Purushottamas, there's Lord Ramachandra is Marjada Purushottam and Krishna is Lila Purushottam, and here is Prema Purushottam Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So Maharaj is telling about three Purushottamas. One is that Maryada Purushottama, that Lord Ramachandra followed all the dharma of a human being, as a human being. And then we have Krishna, who performed many pastimes as Leela Purushottama. And then we have Lord Chaitanya as Prema Purushottama, that is, he distributed love of God freely.
By hearing his pastimes, we achieve Krishna Prem. Only Lord Chaitanya is avoiding as Krishna Prem after listening his pastimes. And this is the island of, this is called Madhyadip, specifically remembering Krishna. Remembrance. This is the place we have to remember.
So each of the 9 islands represent the 9 types of devotional service. First we heard about Shravanam in the Antardvip, birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Then we did Kirtan in Bodrum Dvip, that is where Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house is there and where he started the Namahata. Then this third island is Madhyam Dvip, where it is remembrance or Smarana. We meditate on the pastimes of the Lord.
Krishna's pastime, just like Rupa Goswami told in Nectar of Devotion, that among the essence of all teachings is to remember, always remember Krishna and never forget him. Smartabhya satatam Vishnu, vismartabhya najatujit, sarva vidhi nishadeshu etaya eva kinkara. This is the essence of all teachings, that we have to remember Krishna. So how can we remember? But by hearing. We hear, by chanting and hearing, then we come to the stage of remembering. So this is the place we are very fortunate by hearing and chanting Krishna's Lord Gauranga's pastimes, and also we get the chance of remembering them. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj is telling another important point, that we have so many rules and regulations to be followed, even in Kali Yuga. But all the rules are subservient to 2 rules. One rule is to always remember Krishna. For that, whatever is required, we do, like hearing, chanting, everything. And another rule is corollary is never forget Krishna. We should not do some activities which make us forget Krishna. For example, the 4 regulative principles, we should not break them.
The devotees then move on towards Pushkar, a sacred and beautiful lake connected with Lord Brahma.
As you know, in Rajasthan, there is one place known as Pushkara. That is where Lord Brahma's only temple is there. I will not go into the details of Pushkara, but the connection here is, there was one village, one person in Navadvip, he wanted to go to Pushkara, but he was so old and nobody was willing to take the trouble of taking him there. So he was lamenting and feeling bad about it. So then in the night, the personification of Pushkara, he appeared to him and said that you need not go there. I am present here and you can take a bath here and get the same benefit. So now gradually that lake has dried up, even in Navadvip.
So we are here on the banks of Brahma Pushkarni. This lake is Pushkarini lake. Pushkar is lotus. The lotus fell down or was thrown down, and wherever it landed, that became Pushkar Kshetra, where Brahma is worshipped. This is the only place where Brahma is worshipped. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, those, there's a team of three of them. G-O-D, sometimes they say G-O-D, G for generator. And Brahma is a generator. And O for operator. Who does the operations? Not in the hospital, maintenance here. That is Vishnu's service portfolio. And G-O-D, D for, and who is that? Shiva does the instruction. So briefly they say G-O-D as generator, operator, destroyer. So of those three, Vishnu's temples are everywhere. Shiva's temples are everywhere, even more than Vishnu's temples or Shiva temples. But Brahma's temple, nowhere else but in one place, and that is Pushkar. Brahma is worshipped only at Pushkar.
So as you know, Lord Brahma was performing sacrifice and it was getting late. Saraswati was not present. Saraswati, normally a person performs sacrifice, he keeps his wife along with him. But so then he needed someone to sit beside him for the sacrifice, and then Gayatri from the cow, back of the cow, Gayatri manifested and she assisted Lord Brahma in performing this sacrifice. So then when Saraswati came, she became angry and she cursed him that there will be no temple. As Maharaj explained, there's only one place where he is worshipped, and that is in Pushkar Kshetra in Rajasthan. Pushkar means the lotus fell from the spiritual world to this place.
There was, in Satya Yuga, there was one Brahmin named Devadas, and he was on pilgrimage. His ambition was to go to Pushkar. He was a Brahma Bhakta of some sort like that. So he wanted to go to Pushkar. He's walking and walking around India. He came to this place, just here, on the banks of this lake. And he stayed overnight here. As he was sleeping, he had a dream. And in the dream, he got a message. Just stay here. And all your wishes, all your desires will be fulfilled. So he stayed here. And he stayed here for many years, right into his old age. And he was waiting for something wonderful to happen. But life was just going on, and it was nice, but nothing really dramatic like what he was expecting. So then, finally, he was in his late old age, and he couldn't move around anymore. And he was feeling very disappointed. I wanted to go to Pushkar, but I got sidetracked to stay here because I was told something wonderful would happen, but nothing wonderful happened. I didn't get to Pushkar, and it looks like my life is a failure. So then one Brahmin approached him And the Brahmin actually, somehow or other, that Devadas, even though he was living here by this lake, he would not bathe in the lake. But that Brahmin approached him and said, you should bathe in this lake. If you bathe in this lake, then all your desires will be fulfilled. So he went and he bathed in the lake. And sure enough, as he was bathing, he had some great transcendental vision that he was at Pushkar. And he realized that actually this is Pushkar. So he was very, very happy. But he came out, and that Brahmin approached him, crying. And the Brahmin told him, actually, I'm the personality of Pushkar. It was me who spoke to you so many years ago that you should stay here because you'd achieved something wonderful. But you were not bathing here, so you didn't realize that this is actually the original Pushkar. And now you've bathed here. Now you've realized this is the original place. That place you wanted to go to in Rajasthan, out in the desert there. That's just an expansion, like a little replica. It's not so important at all. This was my idea all along, that you would bathe there and you would realize this is the real place. So, Pushkar, the personality of Pushkar, told Devadas that this place is so powerful. It is so much more powerful than that other Pushkar out there in the desert in Rajasthan. If you bathe here one time, it is equal to bathing in the other Pushkar 100 times. So you see, you got the mercy. And so Devadas was extremely happy. And from then on, till he left his body, he would bathe in the waters here every day. And then he went back home, back to Gaji. Shri Pushkar Dham ki, Shri Brahma Pushkar ki. Hare.
So in these holy dhams, other places, if you commit any offense, it becomes multiplied. But in this Navadvip Dham, the same place, same thing when you stay and do devotion, even if there are some accidental mistakes, they are forgiven. So that's why one can make much quicker progress in the Navadvip Dham. And so one important point Maharaj was saying is taking bath, this holy rivers, because they can not only purify the body, but also the consciousness and the soul.
You would also like to realize that Navadvip Dham is the original and supreme Dham, source of all the holy places. Yes? And this is original Pushkar. And what do you have to do? You forgot? Take bath, somebody's giving the hint. If not bath, at least take a few drops of waters of Brahma Pushkarini here on your head, but not right now. Don't go. Somebody's rushing. Yeah. Meantime, you are getting bathed with the talks here. That is also a kind of bath. So just before you go, take a few drops on your head. Offer your obeisances, few drops on the head and few drops in the drink. Your soul will be touched by the Dham.
So Maharaj made an important point that when you go to these holy places, you don't just dive into the water. First you recite some prayers, then you offer obeisances, and then take some water and first sprinkle it on your head. Don't put your feet directly first. So then you can enter into the water, and not as a sport but in prayerful way, and then drink some water also. So we should not feel that okay, I'll become dirty when the place may appear dirty, or I drink this water, I'll see all sick.
From Pushkar, the Parikrama party heads towards Kurukshetra in Navadvip Dham.
So just as there's Kurukshetra in the near to Delhi, similarly there's a Kurukshetra in Navadvip also.
Kurukshetra is said to be on the right side of the road at this point. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays. Further south of Hansavahan is Uchchahata, non-different from Kurukshetra of Brahmavarta, which is a place of pilgrimage for the three worlds. Here all the demigods reside, continuously performing Gaura Sankirtan. Sometimes the present-day residents of this area can hear that music. When the devotees arrive at the bank of the Ganges, they take breakfast.
This is on the banks of the Triveni Sangam. There's a bridge across this Triveni Sangam, known as Gauranga Setu Bridge. They call it Gauranga Setu.
At the ends of the bridge, overlooking the spot where the devotees are taking prasada, are these statues from Caitanya Leela. At the eastern end, there's Lord Caitanya, and across from him are two devotees. Then at the western end, we see the Lord and Lord Nityananda delivering Jagai and Madai.
Here you can see Jagai and Madai wearing sacred thread, because they are actually Brahmanas, but they have given up the Brahmin culture. So at this point, the devotees take the boat.
After breakfast, the devotees board the boats, this time to go to Navadvip town.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Again, the senior devotees get onto the Nitai Padakamala too.
So this Nitai Padakamala boat was bought when Srila Prabhupada himself was personally present. The idea was devotees will go on this boat to villages across the Ganges and preach. So the same boat is still there.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
On the way, we pass the cremation ghat, where a family is performing a funeral.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
after about a 30-minute boat ride, we land at Navadvip town.
Just as Navadvip means 9 islands, one particular spot is also known as Navadvip town. Just for that's where the nearest railway station is.
The devotees then walk through Navadvip on Harinam.
So previously, Navadvip was the center of learning. Many big scholars, pandits used to assemble at this like it's kind of like a university campus. So here many Brahmins also reside. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to organize this Navadvip Parikrama, he used to take along people from all communities. His belief was one who takes to devotion, he's a greater than a Brahmana. But the local Brahmanas didn't like this, that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was encouraging everyone to join the Sankirtan movement and thereby promoting to them to Vaishnavas. So at one particular occasion, they started throwing bricks and started harming the Parikrama devotees. So that time Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, his disciple, was there. He was the Grihastha. He exchanged his white color cloth with Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, who was wearing saffron, and then he was saved in that situation. So now also when they go for parikrama, they make sure that they follow the etiquette. Etiquette is foreigners sometimes generally the ladies and gents they walk together, but they make announcements and before that please follow the etiquette that men walk separately from the women, so that nobody criticizes.
We pass by the temple of Brother Shiva and Maya. It's a very old temple and has almost been completely consumed by this great banyan tree.
Just as you have Kshetrapal Shiva in many places in Navadvip, here also there's one Maya and Vriddha Shiva. So these are actually a banyan tree. On the base of the banyan tree, they have set up a temple, and there this Lord Shiva and Parvati are there. You can see the Lord Shiva deity, Linga.
Maya, who is Yoga Maya in Navadvip, is overseeing all the pastimes of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda in the Dham, although the local people take her to be Durga Devi and worship her with animal sacrifices and similar activities. It seems that most of the time she's submerged under red flowers. We continue on through the streets of Navadvip until we come to the Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji.
So actually Jagannath Das Babaji is the Siksha Guru of Bhaktivinoda Thakura. So he was staying here and chanting, and also his Samadhi is placed here. As we told earlier, he lived for 140 years and he used to be carried on the back of one servant. And not only that, his eyelids used to close, and to keep them open, they used to put some matchsticks there. And one person tried to give him a donation of 1 rupee. Then in those days, 1 rupee was a huge donation. But then after walking some distance, Jagannath asked his servant to walk back, and he gave him that person back the 1 rupee coin, because the person who gave that 1 rupee was feeling very proud. And Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj could sense that pride, and so he said, I don't want to carry this burden of pride. So he was so strict in that matter. And as I told earlier, he helped to find the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur was doing some research to find out, because at that time all the local people said that this is the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, we have a deity of Lord Chaitanya here, which is worshipped by his wife, that is Vishnupriya Devi. It's known as Darmesh Mahaprabhu. And so people had started claiming that this was the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not convinced, because he referred to many scriptures which told that the Chandkasi Samadhi and Balal Digi, that places and all on the other side. So when he did the research and he wanted to confirm the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took Jagannath Das Babaji with him on a basket. He had to be carried on a basket, and he could not move also. But when he reached that place, he started jumping out of the basket and dancing and chanting. So that confirmed that place, which was filled with tulsi leaves. Thanks.
Siksha Guru of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In the main compound is his samadhi.
So the Panchatattva mantra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, that was started by him only.
Dvip, Madhyadvip, and this is Koladvip. The process here is Pada Sevanam.
So after we cross the river, we come to Navadvip town, which is located in Koladvip. Koladvip also Lord Varahadev pastime. When he lifted the earth, he put his legs down on this place. So that's why Koladvip, it's known as Koladvip. And here anyone comes and begs forgiveness for the offenses he commits, he is pardoned here. And Devananda Pandit was there. He was reciting Srimad-Bhagavatam, but giving his Mayavada interpretation. But Srivas Thakur used to attend that Bhagavatam class and go into ecstasy. But his students, Devananda Pandit, used to think that he is a disturbance, creating disturbance by getting ecstatic. So they threw him out of the Bhagavatam class. So later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he appeared and he saw Devananda Pandit, he chastised him severely and said that you don't know the greatness of Bhagavatam and his devotees. But later, Devananda Pandit was related to Vakreshwar Pandit. And Vakreshwar Pandit, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to perform Sankirtana, he used to dance non-stop for 72 hours. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing one time like that, he used to fall down. At that time, this Devananda Pandit, he caught hold of him so that he doesn't fall down. Because he rendered this service, he later got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and transformed his thought process. So because he got forgiven for his offense of blaspheming the devotee Srivas Thakur and the Bhagavatam by giving a Mayavada interpretation, this place known as Aparadha Bhanjana Kulya part. Kulya.
And very soon we will go to a temple. We'll have a darshan of deity of Mahaprabhu, Dhamer Mahaprabhu, Dhameshwar. Okay, Dhameshwar. He is Ishwar of this Dham, and that is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his lotus feet were served here by Vishnu Priya, Pada Sevanam.
Maharaj explained in this place one of the devotional processes Pada Sevana, that is worshipping the lotus feet, like Mahalakshmi is worshipping. So after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his wife Vishnu Priya Devi, she was given a deity made out of neem wood of the deities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and used to worship him in this deity form. And once in a year, they decorate this deity in a female dress as Vishnu Priya Devi. And Vishnu Priya was so austere that daily she used to chant one round, and that many rounds, that many grains of rice she used to take and cook. That was what she ate. So she was very austere and she lived for many years after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared. And so this place is there. They keep the padukas, which are said to be that of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So Jagannath Babaji lived for 144 years, and he was the Siksha Guru of Thakur Bhaktivinoda. Thakur Bhaktivinoda considered Jagannath Babaji to be the greatest living Vaishnava. So he gave him the title of Sarvabhauma. And Jagannath Babaji stayed on the planet till the age of 146 years, they say. Some 144, some say 146. So Jagannath Babaji was a disciple of Madhusudan Das Babaji, and he was considered to be a very exalted Vaishnava, totally absorbed in chanting the holy name day and night. He would chant all night, and it is said that he would chant loudly. And after that, he had a deed of Giriraj. He would offer 1,108 dandabats to his deities every day, staying up all night and offering dandabats in the morning. So there are many nice stories connected to Jagannath Babaji. Once some people had gone, some devotees had gone to Jagannath Babaji, and they asked him, "Can you do some miracles?" So Jagannath Babaji said, "I'm not like one of those cheap sadhus who do miracles." And as he was talking to them, he took a stick and hit it on the ground. So the guests thought that maybe they've offended the sadhu. And therefore, in anger, he threw him the stick to beat the ground. But then Jagannath Babaji said, "No, I'm not angry at you. There's a goat that's eating the tulsi next to Loknath Das, the Loknath Das's bhajan kutir. So there was a goat that was eating the tulsi leaves, and so in order to drive the goat away, Jagannath Babaji beat a stick in Radhakund. So those guests could not believe that, no, he was a Navadvip. Yeah, but the goat was eating it. Yes, he was in Navadvip, and the goat was eating the tulsi at Radhakund.
So here Maharaj is explaining how Jagannath Das Babaji was so elevated that when some people came and asked him to perform miracles, he said, "I am not that kind of a person." But then while he was talking to them, he started beating with the stick on the ground. So those people thought that maybe he got offended by us and he's trying to drive away us. But then he clarified, no, that actually he could see, sitting in Navadvip, he is able to see that a goat is eating a tulsi plant in Radhakund in Vrindavan. Or something else, he said, Loknath Goswami, he has his bhajan kutir near Radha Gokrananda temple. So he was saying he could see that, and he to drive away the goat over Radhakund, he's beating on the ground over here. So that was his.
So the guests could not believe that sitting in Navadvip, he would know what's happening in Radhakund. These days, of course, it's possible. You have television, telephone, cell phones, etc. But those days, none of these facilities existed. So they wanted to confirm
is this really true? So they sent a telegram to confirm if at this time any goat was eating tulsi leaves. And back came the reply, this was true.
So he's saying that even they wanted to confirm whether what Maharaj is saying is true or false. So they sent a telegram. In those days, telegram was very famous. So they sent a telegram to Vrindavan to find out whether such an incident really happened. And someone really confirmed that it was the truth.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nishananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur. That particular mantra was given to us by Bhaktivinoda that we chant anytime in order to get free from offenses. So Koladvip is known for relieving one of offenses. There are several stories, but Devananda Pandit he was a Bhagavatam reciter, teacher, like a professor, but he wasn't a devotee. So one day Srivas Thakur was going by his place and he heard the Bhagavatam, so he just went in, because he was reciting Srimad-Bhagavatam. And when he heard the Bhagavatam, he went in ecstasy, was rolling on the ground. So the disciples of Devananda Pandit, they thought, this is a big disturbance. Someone must drag him outside. So Srivas, somehow Lord Caitanya knew about that. So one day when Lord Caitanya was walking past Devananda Pandit's place and he was teaching, Lord Caitanya was shouting, you're a rascal, you don't know anything Bhagavatam, you don't understand the word of it, you're a fool, a cheater, and it's just really heavy. But then somehow or other, Bhakrishwar Pandit, you know Bhakrishwar Pandit? He was a great dancer. He said he could dance for 72 hours. Hand singer, but he couldn't find anybody that could do kirtan for 72 hours. He was praying that some Gandharvas would come so he could really get into it. So anyway, somehow this Devananda Pandit, he saw him in the kirtan. And he saw his ecstatic dancing, and he would fall on the ground and get all dusty. So Devananda Pandit just somehow got inspired, and he would pick him up and wipe him off. And then he stayed with him a lot, and he would stay behind him. So if he fell, he would catch him. He wouldn't fall down while he was dancing. And by his association, he became changed. He started to become, by rendering service to a devotee. Somehow he was just naturally attracted. It shows the power of Harinam Sankirtan. Everybody should do that. All these crazy people will, become attracted and try to help us, try to serve the devotees. So Devananda his heart changed. And then he met Lord Caitanya. So by the mercy of Bhakrishwar Pandit, he became devotee. He asked Lord Caitanya, what is the Bhagavatam? What does it really mean? You know what he told him? Huh? He told him it's only bhakti, there's nothing else. Srimad-Bhagavatam is only bhakti. And he accepted that at that point. And he also said that any house where the Bhagavatam is kept, nothing inauspicious can ever happen.
Babaji Maharaj lived until he was 146 years old.
Now they are playing a drama. I think we'll skip this. Maybe I'll stop here also. And, we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. Maybe I'll just show you this place. The person who spoke last was Kavichandra Swami Maharaj. He's from the US, but he preaches in the eastern part like Japan and Hong Kong and those places.
Near the Samadhi, we find his deities.
Mostly we find Radha Krishna deities, Gaurnitai deities, small, big size, Jadu Gopal, different Saligrama Shilas.
Behind the temple is his Bhajan Kutia, overlooking a branch of the Ganges. From here, we go to the temple of Darmeshwar Mahaprabhu, said to be the deity that Lord Chaitanya's wife Vishnu Priya worshipped for many years after the Lord left Navadvip.
So this is the deity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, made at from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu time itself it was made, so that Vishnu Priya could worship. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, she wanted to worship Lord, and Lord made his deity out of wood, and so this is a deity from the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
These are said to be shoes worn by Lord Chaitanya, which he left for Vishnu Priya to worship after he left home. Here we see the Pujari complete the dressing of Lord Chaitanya.
One characteristic feature is the eyes of the deity. The eyes are they extend from the nose up to the ear. That is the characteristic of Lord Chaitanya's deities. The eyes extend like a fish, shape of a fish.
In the late afternoon, the Parikrama party heads to the ISKCON property at Pratap Nagar for the night.
So this is the third day of the Parikrama. They go to Pratap Nagar, that is in Navadvip area. The Pada Sevanam process of devotional service. So we'll continue for the fourth day tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha. Upasindubhya vicha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.
Hare
Okay, Prabhu, let's stop the session today. Yes, Prabhu is there. Okay, I'll end the session. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow for the chanting.